I feel like that's a softball to talk about the shrine.
It is.
So let's do it. So this all started when Roe versus Wade was about to be overturned. You and I were talking, and you said, how many rosaries do you think have been prayed by beautiful, faithful old women throughout the country for the end of abortion? And I said something like, I don't know, thousands. You're like, thousands, millions. You said, What are we going to do to thank the Mother of God? I don't know if you remember this conversation.
I do
you said
remember
we have to build the most beautiful shrine that's ever been.
I do remember it. And, is the shame of America is our churches. There are exceptions. But the shame of America is that our churches are so ugly.
Oh my gosh, they're awful.
You go to Europe, their churches are empty. I mean, our churches are more full than the European churches. But you go to Europe and they have empty churches, but they're beautiful churches. Breathtakingly beautiful.
No one's doing tours through churches in America unless they're old and actually.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we have some beautiful ones.
Yeah, maybe the Basilica in Washington D.C. and St. Patrick's Cathedral, and this is our reality: is that our monuments to God speak about our faith, and our greatest monuments. Like if our civilization were to be frozen right now, if there was some kind of villain who could like freeze the world.
I'm liking it. Yep.
Yeah. So a villain comes into our world and freezes everything right now. The biggest monuments in our country are like bank buildings or insurance buildings.
Football stadiums.
Nothing in our architecture would tell these villains from another world as they survey, the coast of our country and her plains and her mountains, that these were people who believe in a Trinitarian incarnate God. The second person of the Trinity invaded time and space and lived among us and died and rose again on the third day. And that's to our shame. If they go to France, they'd say, maybe at one time these people in Europe, they really believed in something that was transcendent. And so this is, I feel, our greatest moment, is that as our culture is deep in insanity, we Christians need to be even deeper in sanctity.
Ooh,
and that needs to
line.
be reflected
Amen.
in the Sermon of Stones, like building things that state God is everything to us.
I think a common objection you'll get from people will be, you shouldn't be spending money on buildings. Buildings don't matter. We are the church, and we as a church are being commanded to love and serve the poor. So whatever money you're going to spend on beautiful churches or monstrances or tabernacles, forget about that. We could just do with something simple and then give them. What's wrong with that argument?
Well, first of all, it goes against the desires of the poor. Because when you go to, if you know the poor and you've lived among them, and you've lived in countries which are not as affluent as ours, those people desire first and foremost to take whatever pennies they have and to put them towards the things of God. And that's why their church, their homes are so incredibly small, but their churches are so incredibly great. And here in the U.S., we're the exact opposite. Our churches are smaller often than our mansions, our McMansions.
Wow, that is so true.
Yeah. And but I mean, scripturally, you look and see how the Lord Himself gave direction, to Moses and to Solomon about the appointment of the temples, the first one, and then the one later that Solomon built, and I mean, there was nothing cheap about it.
Right, and this was directly commanded by God.
Yeah, we give to God our best. This is why people will often ask about, my vestments. Well, they're not mine; they're my church's. But why are they so beautiful? Because our God is so beautiful. You want to worship Him in denim? I mean, no. We give to God our best, and the vestments that the priest is adorned with are not about the priest; they're about the God whom the priest serves. And that's why I was convinced, when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I thought, good God in heaven, those people of old, they built such beautiful houses of worship to give thanks to you during very difficult times. And when this horrendous law was finally overturned, what are we building in gratitude to you? I think I was on the show. I was talking about the 10 lepers, and only one of them comes back to thank the Lord. And I said, I still say this, like, I don't want to be one of those 9 lepers that just carries on with life. Millions upon millions upon millions of rosaries and prayers were offered up to overturn Roe v. Wade so that we can have a semblance of life and goodness in our land. And when it happened, I was convinced at that moment that something beautiful has to be done to express our gratitude to our Lord and His Blessed Mother for making this happen, because I never thought I'd see it. And I think probably you and most of your viewers never thought that you'd live to see Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.